Welcome to today's video, and our topic is cholesterol. Anyone who has gone for a standard health exam with their family doctor has probably had the blood work done and gotten cholesterol results. This is pretty standard procedure. However, when you are doing modifications to your diet, it can have a significant impact on these various blood tests, and you probably need to share that with your doctor. Okay, so let's just take a look here at what here we go. Let's do a standard disclaimer first. This video is intended for, general interest, and it's my opinion. It's not intended to be medical advice. And if you have any kind of medical condition, you really should, consult with your family doctor or health practitioner. That being said, this is, I think, a topic that needs to be talked about because the research changes as things move forward. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about cholesterol. And cholesterol is a topic that can be confusing. Okay, it can be confusing. You're basically talking about fat in the body, and if you understand that fat is very important, it provides your energy and nutrients. So we are a fat-based entity. However, the interesting thing with fat is that fat or oil-based does not mix with water. So there's this special molecule called cholesterol that is able to move fatty, oily, essential oils and whatever through the body, knowing that our bodies are, 70% water. And if you know, oil and water normally don't mix, but cholesterol has this ability to move fats and oils to the required areas in the body and to do sort of both roles. As you can see here in the slide, it has the amphibious type behavior, being able to act in water and in fat. So this makes cholesterol very valuable, and it is used. Sorry about that. It is used in many, many different parts of the body. An important area you can see here at the bottom in the embryonic development. And also another one I think is interesting, if you look here on the left, the myelin sheath of your body. If you know anyone who has any issues with their myelin sheath and their nerves, they're in severe pain. And this is maintained mainly by cholesterol. So cholesterol is used in, I'm sure, even in more areas than designated there. So without question, without cholesterol, we would not even be able to develop from an embryo into a full adult, let alone function. So a key component. So where does cholesterol come from? Cholesterol comes from only one source. It comes from the liver. So the liver manages and produces cholesterol in the body. Excuse me, kitty cat wants to talk to. In the body, but it will look at foods that we're eating, because we can get cholesterol from foods, and it will then balance it out. It will look and say, well, do you have enough cholesterol in your blood? If not, it will put cholesterol, more cholesterol or less, given whatever the balance is. So it's regulated by the liver. I'd like you to note here that it's only available from meat products. That's the only place where we can get cholesterol that's recognized by the liver and used by the body. Well, that's not quite true. We can get it from synthetic foods. So if you eat highly processed foods with synthetic fats, the liver will think that those are normal fats and try to treat them like fats. And that's another whole section about what happens to highly processed foods, and it creates a major issue. Okay, so you can either make it in your liver, or you can make it from whole foods, or you can get it from artificial foods. Basically, you cannot get it from plants. So if you are eating a 100% plant diet, you will not be getting natural cholesterol. There's a type of cholesterol you can get from some vegetables, but it's not fully integrated into the body. So let's just summarize this up a little bit. Cholesterol in food can be gotten from two different sources, one artificial or the other natural. The artificial sources create a huge problem, and you can go down that rabbit hole if you want. The cholesterol from natural sources has an issue if it is high in carbs. So let's just talk about that a little bit. There's two types of diets I want to differentiate between. There's something what you would probably call the normal, regular North American diet, and that's on the left there, where up to 60 to 70% of our food is made up of carbs. That would be breads, vegetables, sweets, okay? As opposed to a keto diet where 60 to 70, even 80% is meat and very, very, very few carbs, maybe only 5 to 10% carbs. This is an important difference because all of the tests that you will get when you go to a doctor's office will be based on and normalized to the regular North American diet, and we'll be expecting to see fats in your body based on eating carbs as your primary source of energy. Okay, so that's just right off the bat, there's a little bit of an issue there. Okay, so knowing that, let's move forward. In a normal cycle, there's a circulation, and here's where the LDL and HDL come in. The liver will produce what is called a very low-density molecule and carrying fats and other nutrients. Or it will see it from the food you receive. So if you're eating healthy animal products, it will take those and put them and organize that molecule into a standard LDL, which moves through the body to the individual cells. So each one of your cells needs to receive these LDLs. So LDLs are not bad, they're necessary. Okay, so an LDL comes to the cell, and the cell takes from that the energy it needs, the fats, and that's how it metabolizes. After the cell has activated or taken what it needs from the LDL molecule, it is now called an HDL, or higher density. So basically, the way I understand it is once the fats are taken out of the molecule, it becomes more dense. Right? It just becomes more concentrated. And this more highly concentrated cell called an HDL returns to the liver and is processed. So that's the normal way things would go. In that process, when the LDL reaches the cell, this is what the cell's looking for. It's looking for a triglyceride. And this is basically the fat. So it's looking at that, and it will convert that into a molecule that an ATP molecule to generate all the energy in your body. So the LDL carries the triglycerides to the cell. The cell uses that, and the emptied cell is now called, the empty molecule is now called an HDL. Okay, so from the liver, LDL, the cell uses up the triglycerides, it becomes an HDL and returns back to the liver. Now, what can happen in there is that normal cycle can get interrupted. And the one thing that I've observed is that if you have sugar in your diet, it will interrupt that natural circulation. And this is why, because sugar has to be eliminated first. So you might have these healthy cholesterol LDLs circulating through the body, which have fat. If sugar enters into your bloodstream, a cell will ignore that LDL and have to process the sugar. This process is sometimes referred to as a type 2 diabetic condition or pre-diabetic condition, where if you have high levels of insulin, high levels of sugar, the cells will be instructed to process that sugar and not process the fat. Okay? So the sugar triggers the cell to process the carbohydrates and not the fats. So here's an example. I'll put a link to this video in my comments. So a well-known YouTube keto doctor is talking to a researcher. And this particular gentleman is a keto practitioner, is very, very healthy. He's a long-distance runner. But he had very high LDLs, way up in the 300, close to 400 milligrams per decil. So very high. So what did he do? He did two things. One, he ate sugar by eating Oreo cookies. And the other is he took a statin. And you'll see here these two lines. The black line is when he ate the Oreo cookies, increased the sugar in his blood. And the lighter blue line is when he took the statin. Now, these did not happen at the separate times. These are two different time intervals. They're just overlaid on each other, okay? So here you have the black line. You can see that he had a 70% decrease in LDL by eating sugar. The sugar interrupted the LDL processing and the liver decreased it more than if he had taken a statin. And the statin, he had what looked to be about a 32% decrease. Very important. But the reason I put this up here is to show that sugar has a huge impact on the way the body processes LDL. So what are we saying here? We're saying that LDL is necessary, is healthy, and even if you have very high levels of LDL, it means only that you're getting more fat in your diet. Unless that LDL gets oxidized. When that LDL gets oxidized, it turns into plaque. And you can see here in this very scary slide that the plaque is gathered and is closing the artery. Oxidized LDL is what happens when the LDL is not processed. So if you have too much sugar in your system, the LDL does not get processed and will oxidize and get stored. So perhaps the issue is insulin levels and sugar and diet. So what I'm suggesting here is that if you are into keto and you go and get your blood work done and you get high LDLs, make sure to check all your other stats. If everything else is normal, okay, if your triglycerides are normal, if your HDL is normal, and basically your insulin levels are low, everything else is normal, you probably should have that greater discussion with your doctor and perhaps run more tests to see if you actually need to intervene with that high LDL results. Most people now that are following the low-carb diet are experiencing this issue. It's a very, very common, fairly recent occurrence. And doctors who are not aware of keto and the differences in the lab results will give you the traditional recommendation based on you having a standard North American high-carb diet. Okay, so this discussion really needs to be had, and I strongly encourage you to do more research, talk with your doctor, and learn to read your own lab results. Okay, well, my friend Duncan here has gone quiet. He's gone to the corner. I appreciate his contribution to the video, and I also appreciate you watching. And if you want to help me along with my work, please feel free to, drop me a line at some point, or go and buy me a coffee. Okay, with that said, I'll wrap up this video and wishing you all the best.